All right, here it is. This is the Rovan F5 EF5, as I call it. You've seen it in a few of my videos. I got this last spring. There's a waiting list to get them, and I put the word out to my hobby shop, Dennis Martin, over at RC Garage, and he was able to find me one last spring. I wasn't really ready for it with all the other stuff I was doing, but here it is. We're going to do a review on it a bit, I guess, or I'm going to go through it anyways, like I do all the rest of my RCs. Diff fluids, shock fluids, bearings, check everything out before I run it. Yeah. So this car was always not electric, it was always gas. And they just recently came out a little over a year ago with this electric roller version, EF5 Roven, 5th scale. There's a couple different versions of bodies you can get for this platform. It's basically a huge pan car. Get the body off. You see the body mounts got two back here under the wing, two more along the sides, two in the hood, and two across the front valance. Really holds it on there. I'm going to have to do some aerodynamic changes to the front and rear bumper, mainly because it's always been gas and it's never really gone over 30, 40 miles an hour, but it's going to go a lot faster than that when I'm done with it. Well, there goes the body. And here we have it. Yep, I've already been in there. ESC's mounted, the servos are mounted. On first glance, compared to an MCD, which I've never owned, it seems like a really nice platform. Once we dive deeper, we'll see what the internals are like, but obviously there's not a lot of aluminum on it as the MCD would have. It's all plastic, pretty good quality. I got my buddy Aaron Harris to print me some battery boxes, because for some reason they come with these little tiny battery trays here, which none of any batteries I own, and I own a lot of batteries, fit in there. So we printed these up to fit 9,000 milliamp batteries, which you need if you're going to run any kind of power in something like this, or anything really, because it's a big vehicle. Drive all looks amazing. The axles are friggin' huge. And the motor mount, this is just a piece of, isn't that glorious? I have to figure out how the motor actually mounts to it and everything, but we'll get that sorted. Gearing is 2564. We'll see what that does, but apparently this is a hex back gear. I had this apart already earlier. I'm not sure how you're supposed to do many gear changes to it, although it has a lot of different positions you can put it into. But that's it. Quite the beast, that's for sure. Well, let's get on with it. Here's a little something interesting I found in these diffs. For one thing, they got grease in them, which is a little strange. I did the rear diff already, and I'm going to surprise us by doing this one on film. So there you got your basic diff assembly, right? One O-ring in there, and it's only got grease in it. You take this apart, there's no O-ring on that inside, same as the rear was, where it could have an O-ring, no problem. Strange. But I'm sure the MCD comes with O-rings. The XS5 or whatever it's called, the $2,500 car instead of the $900 car. Kinda not impressed with that, but it is a discounted car, I guess. So it is what it is. Well, look at that. Just grease. And imagine it's grease because they didn't put seals in it, so fluid wouldn't stay in it. Look at it. Just brown EP2. Very strange. I get it's a cheaper car, but one O-ring and a little bit of fluid isn't that big a stretch to ask for. But we're going to fix that because I got seals here. O-rings, I mean. Come on out of there. Almost. There we go. Guarantee. Watch this. Look at that. No O-ring. Dry as a bone. And this is why I say I always take my differentials apart. Brand new, used, I don't care. I just take them apart just for peace of mind. Better off knowing what you're running than having to buy parts later. Okay, so we're all cleaned up. And get these O-ring bins off of Amazon. And these work perfect for this. See that? Grab my little Jim's Bearings grease syringe. I like to keep this handy just for this kind of stuff. And 10 scales, it's just nice to grease them quick and easy. Let's do the spur gear first. Put some in here for the O-ring that they did send with it, which didn't have shit on it. And you can see how nice it goes in there. It actually snaps right in. Like, I don't know why they didn't send that. Freaks me out. Forgot the bearing. Oh, ahead of myself here. Yeah, nice that goes on there. Damn. Just like it was meant to be in there. There. Go on there. nice snug fit. I like it. Bearing. Look at that. I don't understand. It's very strange. Do me. I'll put a little bit on top of the washer, or underneath the washer, I guess, and on top of the seal. I do this with all my cars. I grease them before I put in the oil I'm going to choose. In the front is 50K. I put 100K in the back, rear, just because I want it to steer nice. One side's a little bit deeper than the other. Come on, you. There we go. There, and then, like they didn't with these either, just put grease in these spaces in the back, which helps lubricate the seal also. Dry back there, but all kinds of grease afterwards. Strange. That's that. A little bit of grease back in here. Those little spaces. And I put a little bit in on the pin, just to help hold the pin when I'm assembling, because I'm going to be holding that upside down. That way the gear stays on when I go to put the two together. Well, I'm just sitting here waiting for my fluid to level up. Thought I'd show you another little cheap out on Roven's part. Front bulkhead tie bar right. Those there sure look like, what would you say? Grab my tape measure. 2.5-inch wood screw, deck screw. I mean, it's a nice car for the money. It's a decent deal, but they sure do. When they cheap out, they decide to really cheap out. Wild. Another little thing I do with all these, especially cars like this that are aluminum based, get all this thread locker off of these, because it'll gall up your threads, and you'll end up stripping the aluminum out if you don't get it all off. Just use a brass brush. Works. Seems to work the best. You can heat them up with a lighter too, and it'll just burn off. That one there is really bad. Just see, it really must have a gross supply of thread locker. All right. Doing our shocks now. Had to break out the non-RC toys, big boy tools for this big bastard. And I already did the fronts, and it looks to be like they got kind of a cool setup. Big bladder in there, but it's suctioned in because they're a little low. And it's super thick stuff. It looks like what they should have put in the differentials, but didn't. So what I did with the front, is I topped it up with 70 weight because they're really, really, really stiff and a little low. You can hear it's just moving air. So we're gonna see. I think I got the nice ride on the front there right now with adding just a little bit of 70 to it to loosen it up. That's way too thick, that stuff, whatever it is. Sway bar in these trucks is a little lazy. I'm curious. I'd almost like to just buy a MCD to see what kind of quality they put into theirs. You can see the movement it's got right in here. And this arm is almost up to its full travel before it starts pulling on the other arm. Everything still should fall down, but it's just because it's a new vehicle, everything's tight. Really lazy. I checked the bearings in there and everything's as tight as you'd expect, I guess, for their system. But I thought it was kind of neat that they have bearings actually in the sway bar, but a solid bar would be a lot better than this. It's not really pulling. I don't know how the stability is going to be with it. So we'll check it out. Last shock is just settling some air bubbles out of it. We'll get on to the rest of the review, I guess. I gotta say the bladder fits in there really, really nicely. Well, you gotta pull the big crescent wrench out. For a little toy car. There we go. That should work. A little better, I think, or to my liking anyways. Of course, the one I film doesn't want to go. So there, all the fluids are done. Obviously the center doesn't have fluid because it's a spool. So that's it for that. And I think this might be it for this video until I get the motor. Now, the motor, I'm leaning towards the 1100. But if you guys want to suggest anything, it's either the 1100 Castle 2028 1100 or 800. But because this thing has 2564 gearing, I'm thinking the 1100 would be a little bit nicer. And by all my other testing with a little lighter vehicles, right? It's holding its temps well in my X-Max. And I have the 800 in the low C, and it's just a power demon, but it's geared 1567, which is kind of what it's meant to be for. This one is closer to 2.5 to 1 gear ratio, so I'm thinking that it would like the 1100 and might be a little funner to drive. Burn these tires off, if you know what I mean. So, another little thing that I did, as these cars haven't come with an electric combo, the plastics all came as per the gas setup. So this was vented. This is the front valance. So I've taped it off with some kind of cool looking tape to mimic graphite, I guess, or whatever. And the rear was solid, which I want the air to evacuate the body. So I drilled out the exhaust pipes and part of the splitter to actually make it kind of function to get the air out of the chassis, as it's got the skirts on it. Hopefully that helps. And the steering servos are all paired up and functioning perfectly. ESC is mounted with the homemade ESC plate out of the sign material I used. Works nice, that stuff. Countersunk the screws underneath. And picked up the motor fan from A-Main. Little on special deal there. Couldn't go wrong. It was only $9.99. I do have, they both seem to blow the same amount, but I do have a matching Castle one, which maybe I'll put that on there, I'm not sure. But the low-C MTXL needs a fan as well, so kind of thought this one might look cooler underneath the car. It's all blacked out, same as the car. All right. I think I'll post this up and decide on which motor I should be ordering. Leaning towards the 1100, but that'll be that for now till the snow melts. It's first week in January. Oh, this thing's gonna sit for another 3-4 months unless I really want to go take it out in the snow, which I don't think I do. So peace and be good, be safe.